Okay, we will call this meeting to order. This is the September meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the City of East Peoria, Illinois. The first call to order would be roll call.
Driscoll.
Here.
Whitman.
Here.
Tippett.
Here.
Bershears.
Here.
Sams.
Here.
Bruner.
Here.
Here. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum and a full house. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on July 8th, 2024, and that would be because we had no August meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the meeting on July 8th,
Thank you,
2024.
Tim. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. And our first case for the evening is case SU-2024-0014. It's the petition of Tim Hegeman of Byrne & Jones Construction for a special use to allow outdoor storage on property located at 398 High Point Lane. That property ID number is 05-05-03-303-005. Would the petitioner approach the podium, please?
Good evening.
Good evening. Will you state your name for me?
My name is Brian Goggins.
Can you spell your last name?
Goggins.
Is it B-R-I-A-N?
You're correct.
Okay. You're welcome. And Brian, on behalf of Byrne & Jones Construction, I guess?
I'm president of Byrne & Jones Construction. I'm also the president of a company called Microservicing Contractors, Inc.
Okay.
This would be, I'm also the president of a company called Lakin Properties. Lakin Properties is our holding company for property.
Okay.
So the buyer would actually be Lakin Properties. The tenant would be Microservicing Contractors,
Okay.
which is currently located just north of the East Peoria city limits.
So you're sort of a triple petitioner.
Well, I mean, I guess the occupant would be Microservicing Contractors, so that's who
Okay.
I'm representing.
Okay. Go ahead and raise your right hand for me then. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. And now that you've explained your relationship with the three different entities, go ahead and explain to the board what you would like to do.
So we're a long-term, basically DOT city contractor. We do maintenance of roads. It's called microservicing. And we own a facility, I believe the address is 127 Faber Lane, about 7 miles north of here. And we would like to buy a new building previously occupied by Illini Brick, which was the address you referenced, and move our yard and shop there, or I should say office and shop there. And so all we're asking is for a special use permit for outside storage.
Questions for Brian? Tim?
I don't have any questions.
Michael?
My only question is there any plan for any kind of improvements to the property, or is it as is?
I'll say in the short term, it needs a lot of cleanup of landscaping. The building's in good shape, the yard's in good shape, but the landscaping has been neglected. So we'll clean up the landscaping and improve the outside appearance right away. Long term, there's a 6,000 square foot building there. It has a gravel floor and it's uninsulated. Over the next 12 months, we hope to insulate it and put a concrete floor in, but that'll be done underneath a different permit. At the short term, we're going to use it as is. Okay. But we do intend to improve the 6,000 square foot metal building and make it more, we'll put heat in there so we can work in the winter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Troy?
Just looking at the rest of the buildings around there, and you're talking about outside storage, I assume heavy equipment type of things, outside storage?
Yeah, like skid steers, backhoe, we don't own backhoes, but loaders.
So I was just
trucks.
curious if there's any plans to pave that, at least back to the building?
Well, a large majority of it is paved in concrete already.
Right.
In the long term, we may pave it. Yeah, if we're going to be back there a lot. We're not going to use that much of the back lot right now. As we grow, we're in St. Louis. We're asphalt paving contractors. If the need arises, we will pave it.
Okay. That's all I have.
John? And Don?
I think the The questions I had have already been asked for the most part, and where are you going to be doing the storage? I think that was sort of said. Is that all behind the Illini brick, probably?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a gate on each side. It'll be behind that. The only thing will be
Yes.
the only thing will be in the front is employees' cars who park in the
Okay.
front.
All right.
All the storage will be in the rear.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
George?
All my questions have been answered.
Okay, I think the only question I have is, so if the building has a gravel floor,
There's two buildings.
the rear building.
The rear building has a gravel
Right,
floor now.
right. Okay, so when you go to improve that, what kind of a floor would you put in?
Concrete, most likely.
Okay. And you think you would do that in the next, I think you said 12 to 18
12,
months?
call it 12, 18 months, something like that. Yeah.
So when you start having more traffic going back to that building and parking on a hard surface inside that building, I think the city is, I guess, urging us to maybe think about having you pave, maybe not poured concrete, but pave the rest of that gravel to the back of that building. Would that be something you'd consider?
Yeah, we would consider paving if it made sense. We'd absolutely consider paving. Depending on where you're at, paving can be really bad because then it leads to water storage, water quality. So we look at all that. But paving the garage is not because we'll have more traffic there. It's simply because the guys working in there, they're going to be on the ground a lot of times underneath the equipment. It's more of a comfort thing when they set the parts down, they don't lose them. That's why we put concrete in there.
Right. We typically encourage, though, parking of vehicles on solid surfaces. I mean, even with residences. So parking on gravel, I know it's kind of frowned upon. Don, I kind of look to you for this. Do you have any thoughts on that at all? That
Isn't it in the zoning code?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, where you have to, all exterior parking has to be on a hard surface, correct?
Correct.
okay.
So just so I'm clear, is it all like licensed vehicles or construction equipment? Because all the licensed vehicles will be on, there's probably an acre and a half of concrete paving.
Yeah, you've got
That's-
a lot of concrete.
There's a lot of
paving out
concrete
there.
paving. That's where we intend to put it. All the parking of trucks and everything.
Yeah. There's no distinction provided in code whether it's licensed or unlicensed. It's where vehicles are
It's
operating.
just vehicles, right? Whether it's a camper or a private passenger
Yeah, it's even campers and
car.
boats and stuff too,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have any other further questions. I think that's my only concern, that it gets done in a timely, if the city ordinance says it needs to be done, then it needs to be done, but it needs to be done in a timely manner so that we or the city or whoever isn't going back out a year or two later and going, wow, that never got done. Because I feel like some other petitioners have kind of gotten away with, not getting a requested improvement done. So it's just kind of my concern. So Brian, you can have a seat. I think if
Thank
there's
you.
no other questions for him, right? And then is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this particular case? Okay, seeing no one, then we will move on to the next case, and that is case 24-SU-2024-0015, and that's the petition of Robert Robbins for a special use to allow the display and sale of vehicles on property located at 290 South Main Street. That property ID number is 01-01-32-403-003. You are the petitioner, correct?
Yes,
Will
ma'am.
you state your name for me?
Robert Robbins?
Oh, excellent. Will you raise your right hand for me? And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, and go ahead and proceed and tell us what you want to do.
Good evening, East Peoria Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Robert Robbins. I own property at 290 South Main Street, and when I sold the property next to it to where the Knox is, this property they didn't want, so I kind of just still have it. And I lost my dealer's license to sell cars when I did that because I didn't have a commercial building. I tried to put it at one of my fourplexes, and nobody would approve that. So I'm back to there to see if I can get my dealer's license back so I can start selling cars again. I mean, I can sell 6 cars a year legally, but the part of having the ability to go to auctions and stuff like that is what I'm after. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if you got the the pictures and stuff I sent, but, okay. So do you have any questions, anybody?
Okay, Tim?
How many vehicles would you intend to display at one time?
Well, because it has limited parking, probably 3 to 5.
And it looks like we have a map up here, and I think I saw some stuff here in the packet, but can you kind of just maybe demonstrate where that parking would be? There's that white vehicle there.
Right, and then there would probably be where that one is, there would probably be 2 there, and then where this line is here, right where your arrow is, I would stack them lengthways, about 3 to 4. So that would be 5 to 6 vehicles.
So you said,
Now, on the inside of that, that's a gated facility. There is blacktop in there that I can park some of my personal vehicles in, or maybe one that I'm working on or something like that, till I get to a facility where I can work on it.
so you said 5 to 6?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to clarify, because you said 3 to 5 at first. If it's 5 to 6, I just want to make sure I have a good understanding.
You know, as many as I can get, so 5 to 6.
Understood. I just want to make sure you, like, if we put a condition on the maximum
That's
amount
fine.
of vehicles, I just want to understand
I'm
what's
here to
reasonable
comply, so that's fine.
work with you as well. So as far as employee and customer parking, where would that be located then?
That would have to be, there's a few slots right there in the front, and, yeah, there and there, yes. And then I can always park vehicles on the inside of the gate, as long as it's on the hard surface.
Okay. Would you have any opposition to line painting so that there would be, appropriate delineation
No.
between your display parking and your customer parking?
You know, the last time I had it done, I don't know, it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, Purdue did it for me, so.
Okay.
Just be a phone call.
All right. I think that's all the questions and clarification I was seeking. Thank you.
Michael?
Just kind of hours of operation in the building.
Probably something like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., something like that. Monday
fine.
through Friday.
Okay, perfect. That's the only question I had.
Troy?
The only question I have, there's not any plans to do any repair work there, correct? It's just going to be
No, I'll
for
repair
display?
No.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, maybe you said and I missed it, but what is the reason you can't put cars on the back lot there for
The very, very,
sale? Somebody
very
else
back
owns
lot
that?
is, there's a story behind that. I had gravel and tar put on that, but it's still not a hard surface, so.
Oh, okay.
It's basically gravel. The guy I had do it didn't, kind of messed it up, so.
Okay.
But I understand it has to be on a hard surface. I understand that.
I was just thinking of space. Right there along the street.
Actually,
ideal.
one of the reasons I didn't proceed any further was Verizon had contacted me about putting a cell phone tower there one time or another. That was, a few years ago. And I talked to them end of last year, and they said they're still considering it. But of course, it's got to go through all you guys anyway. But I mean,
Sure.
if I could do that, I'm not going to screw that up.
All right. That's all I have.
John?
No, I have none.
And Don?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. You were
Okay.
here a while back, correct?
Pardon me?
Were you here a while back on this property as well?
Yes.
What was that for?
That was for a towing company. What happened to me was I've had dependable towing since 1986 in rapid recovery. We tow cars and repossess cars. To shorten the story up, a real estate guy come into my office one day. He said, "Would you consider selling this property?" I said, "I got no place to operate." "Well, let me tell you what I got."
Okay.
So they kind of made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And about the same time, a guy that worked for me about 10 years ago, I don't know how this happened, he contacted me on Facebook, bought my business within like 2 months of me selling that and all that. And he needed a place to operate for six or 8 months. So that's what that was about.
okay.
That is no longer there.
I got you. Okay.
He's down on Griswold Street in Peoria.
Okay. Now, when I went by it the other day, to me, this is a great spot for something like this because
Yeah,
it's
it looks
a
a little
spot
rough.
that's really not being used for
Right,
anything.
it's just, and I've had it for lease for almost a year.
Have you?
And I'm paying taxes on it, and it's free and clear, and I'm going, let's do something with it.
So, do you own the Pamper Me Please
That's the one building I'm talking about.
That's the building
yeah.
you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's all I had.
No problem, thank you.
George?
No questions.
Oh, come on, George, you got something. You got to have
Well, I was
something.
going to ask what happened to the towing part, 'cause, yeah,
I sold it. It's
Somebody
gone.
beat you to that.
yeah, so, I thought, yeah, the lot used to be stuffed, full of stuff,
Yeah, we did, yeah.
because you did repos, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, a lot of them, so.
Job I wouldn't do.
And they're going strong now. They're over 200 a month right now.
You still,
Nobody's paying for shit.
do you own the Pamperman Please?
I do.
Is the car wash still underneath the floor?
You know what? Somebody told me there was a car was there years ago.
I worked on all those buildings for Jim Spender, so I know what's there.
Use your microphone, John.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, just so the audience
I
knows
just
that
know
you're
there's a
asking
car
about
wash
it.
under the floor. I've seen it. I mean,
That's so crazy. I've heard that before.
I did a lot of work in all those buildings for Jim Spender.
And then also, while we're on the subject, I don't know if this is a separate permit or not, or what I need to do about that. There is a nice tall sign there, and I've never done nothing with it, you know. But it's, well, I mean, I had a flag on top of it for a while, but it's a nice big sign. I might put something on there like used cars here or something, you know. So I don't know if that's another thing I have to deal with later on or whatever.
So an existing sign would be just come in and tell us what you're going to do with it.
Okay.
So as long as you're not making it taller or bigger or whatever,
No,
because you
same
can go
no.
ahead and just
It's
replace
tall
the
enough.
face.
The guy that runs Knox keeps trying to rent it from me, but he don't
Yeah.
want to pay me nothing for it, so I keep telling him no. Imagine that.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Robbins?
Yeah, I had one more that I thought of. Are you planning on doing any upgrades to exterior lighting or anything like that for security purposes?
It's got some nice lighting on it. We can add some if needed.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah,
I
it
was
does
just
have
curious.
lighting on it.
Yeah.
Put that nice white fence up when they was using it for storage for towing, and I see somebody's wrote all over the back of it with black stuff, so crazy.
Yeah, I was just curious if you were going to do any upgrade to lighting. Just wanted to be aware in case that was something that we need to discuss or consider. But if you're not, that no big deal there.
That's a good. No, I think we're okay for now.
Okay. all right.
Thank you for asking
Thank you.
that.
Yep.
That's a good question.
Appreciate it.
Okay, anything else? And I'm just going to clarify, I think in everything that you've said, we're back to 6 cars maximum?
Yeah, whatever you put the limit on, I'm going to be happy with.
Okay, that's good, that's all I have. You can go ahead and have a seat.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board on this particular case? Seeing no one, we will move on to the next case, and that is the case SU-2024-0016. That's the petition of Peter Colvin of Colvin Team Real Estate for a special use to allow for a vehicle oil change facility on property located at 2358 Washington Road. Property ID number is 02-02-19-409-011. Excuse me. And I believe the petitioner is on Zoom. If you will direct your attention to the screen. And Mr. Petitioner, can you hear me? And if you can you please state your name?
Yes, and you have a very clear voice. This is Peter Colvin. Hi.
Thank you. And will you raise your right hand for me and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead and proceed and tell us what you're interested in doing.
Great. Thank you so much for accommodating us with Zoom. We sure appreciate it. I'd like to commend Jamie and the whole staff for the one-stop meeting that you guys have. It's just been so helpful. It was so refreshing after dealing with many municipalities with lots of different people to have a one-stop meeting with everybody there and having all the feedback at once was probably the most refreshing thing that our team has seen in a long time. So we think a lot of your city and we really appreciate it. In a nutshell, 2 things people can do to keep the value of their cars high, and that's to keep them clean and to change the oil. So we are buying older car washes from people that want to retire. Usually they're the ones that built them, and they now have to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into them to redo the equipment, and they really don't want to do that. So we're buying the car washes, and we are, to make them a profitable business, converting 2 of the existing wash bays into oil change bays, so that the oil change revenue can, make it a sustainable business, as these self-serve car washes are struggling with all of the drive-through membership washes with all the bells and whistles that you're seeing going up everywhere. So it's turned out to be a good concept. We told Castro Oil what we were doing, and they loved it, and they joined us. So they're going to be called Castrol Clean and Lubes. It'll be opening in Pekin and Streeter and Pontiac and Peru and several other locations in a couple of months. And we'd really like to open this one in East Peoria. We're ready to close on it, provided that you give us the special use approval. And we have tonight Brent Wood with me. Trent is our general contractor. He's also from Michigan, where I live. And we also have Steve Kokich. Steve is the owner of Clean and Lube. So we should be able to answer most of the questions.
Excellent. Okay, questions for Mr. Colvin and crew. Tim Kelly?
All right, so it's great that you're familiar with the one-stop meeting and that you attended that. It looks like there was one item to note from that staff included in notes to us as the ZBA. And that one specific note was related to an oil separator. Can you comment on that? Plans to install one or ensure that that's on site before we issue the special use permit and operation can begin?
And Madam Moderator, since we can't hear that question, would you be able to moderate that question so we could hear it better if there's a question?
Okay, I think Tim Kelly's question is, during the one-stop shop, I think one of our departments suggested that you use an oil separator, and that I think we would like some assurance that that's going to get installed prior to you starting your oil change business. Can you comment on that?
Brett, would you like to handle that question?
Yeah, I can address that. These car wash buildings all have existing oil separators, and because of we're taking 2 bays and extremely limiting or cutting back on the usage of those existing separators. From the calculations our team has done, the existing separators at these facilities are typically adequate and meet code for the oil change bays that we are proposing to install.
I'm good.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not an inspector on oil separators.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, right.
we'll just need to make sure that the public works staff has that confirmation of the
So can
it's
we,
adequate.
as part of the conditions, we could request some type of inspection record
And then
that they are adequate?
Provide our own precast concrete pits. We truck them down there, we excavate, we put the PVC liner in, and then we drop the pits into the holes, backfill, pour new floors, vent them out for fresh air, and have explosion-proof lights put in them. So we have our own pits and pit kits that we provide each of our locations for. And so there's no water gets into the ground from the pits. So it services the car, the oil separator is good for the car wash bays.
So that's positive, so that we're preventing groundwater contamination or soil contamination for future remediation issues. We already have a site that's like that here in East Peoria, so that's better peace of mind. But I guess the question to Ty, can we apply as a condition that an inspection be required and proof to the city prior to
can we just provide
operation?
all documentation
Okay.
on this information to the Public Works Department and let them review and approve.
That's fair. If they have engineering designs or analyses that, say that it's sufficient, I'm not an expert, so I would think that would be sufficient for the city.
I agree with Tim.
I assume they have to get a building permit still, right?
So, any work that's going on there, yes.
And so an oil separator should be a part of that process as well.
Yeah.
So,
This
but
was
we could
something came
reword
up
that
in
something
the
like
one-stop
that.
discussion, and it's
Yeah.
really a matter of just make sure that
I wouldn't
box
want
gets
to
checked.
make them do anything extra, but I would think and you can add what you want into it, but I think I assume the building permit will take care and make sure there's an oil separator in there as well.
questions for Mr. Colvin? Michael,
I had no more.
or Tim, you're done?
I'm done.
Okay, Michael.
No questions.
Okay, Troy?
No, I'm good.
John?
None.
Don?
I'm just curious about parking. Are you going to be adding parking? I don't know if I saw any parking that was there, but you'll have several employees now and probably need some parking spaces.
Yeah, is it possible to display our site plan that we submitted? If not, I can take you through it
We have it.
visually. You see the red car there?
Hang on,
that's in
I
the
think,
corner?
Mr. Colvin, I think it's in our packets. Just give the guys a minute to find it. I've got mine
Great.
electronically, so I'm not going to pull it up.
Oh, look at that.
Site plan.
Excellent. We have it in front of us. Thank you.
Great. So you can see the employee parking spaces that are up against the property line towards the street.
Nope.
And we require usually 2, and then on overflow time 3 cars for employees. And then no customer parking is needed because they just drive through the building. They pull up and drive through. Nobody gets out for oil change or car wash. Unless they're doing their car, then they get out inside the bay and wash their car. So it's a very low parking need project.
Yeah, there'd be plenty of room for parking.
And there's plenty of space along the landscaping lines inside the parking lot.
Yeah, it looks like the diagram we have, the lines are just very light and a little bit hard to see, but I think we found them.
Yep.
We're good?
Great.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Problem solved. Thank you. George?
Yep.
I have no questions.
I have no questions either. Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the ZBA on this particular case?
Sorry, just for sake of clarification, since we typically ask this, can we get clarification on hours of operation?
And when?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
days of the week.
In the one-stop meeting, we talked about we're going to put the 2 oil change bays on the far right where the drive-through bays are and the automatic bays, and those have the big fans that are so noisy, and those will be all taken out. So this whole project becomes much quieter without the big drying fans at the end.
And then do you have hours of operation for the car wash and the oil change business?
Yep. Steve, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, so typically like for the self-serve bays, they're usually 24 hours, but obviously like there's a natural kind of tendency for people to probably be there really no later than, once it gets too dark. So I would say usually an hour past dark, you're gonna really see traffic drop off to almost zero. The oil change is probably gonna be between 8 and 6 for the core hours. And then, depending on traffic flow, it could be also even 9 till 6 as a typical start time.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions then for the petitioners? Looks like a no. Okay, with that then we will move on. Okay. Gentlemen, if you want to hang on, what we'll do is we'll we'll put off the last case and do deliberations so that you all can not have to hang on Zoom any longer, if that's okay.
Great.
Am I doing
Could
that
we
one
add
first?
Could we have one comment?
Yes, go ahead.
And I appreciate your accommodating us. Thank you so much. We have what's called the Community Car Wash Fundraiser. And so we offer a fundraising car wash to any nonprofit group in the city. So we'll be working with a lot of the school clubs, band boosters, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, churches. Anybody that wants to do a car wash fundraiser, we'll team up with them and provide all the products, and they can use our facility. And that should be a pretty neat program for community involvement for us.
Yeah,
And we
excellent.
look forward to that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Be better in the garage sale. Okay. So Ty, help me out here. Do I start back at the beginning?
Typically, that's what we do.
I know.
yes. Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, gentlemen, we're still going to have to go in order, but at least it will save you a little bit of time at the end. So we will go for findings on SU-2024-0014, and that is the petition at 398 High Point Lane by Tim Hegeman of Byrne and Jones Construction. And the questions, after conducting a public hearing and considering the facts, the Zoning Board of Appeals makes the following findings of fact and recommendation. Will the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the proposed special use permit be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
No.
No.
Will the proposed special use permit be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses permitted in the district?
No.
No.
Will the proposed special use permit diminish or impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood?
No.
No.
Will the establishment of the proposed use permit impede the orderly development or improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the subject zoning district?
No.
No.
Are or have adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, or other necessary facilities to be or been provided?
Yes.
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 Or have adequate measures to be or been taken to provide ingress and egress from the site, minimizing traffic congestion and hazards on public streets?
Yes.
Yes.
Will the proposed special use permit conform to all other applicable regulations of the zoning district?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, discussion, or do I have a motion?
Don, how do you want to word paving? Or how would you word paving if you were going to make
You're asking me?
a motion? Yeah. Since you asked about it.
I'm torn on this one. I mean, I love what the petitioner is doing here. This is an excellent opportunity to reuse the site. At the same time, there was, if you look on the satellite picture, there was, if it was done correctly or incorrectly, there were things that were stored back there as well originally. And there's a huge area for that as well. So I was waiting for somebody else to.
And
here we go.
I was going to say, go ahead.
I will motion to approve SU-2024-0014 as it is read.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by John Brashears. Okay, roll call vote?
Driscoll.
No.
Whitman.
No.
Tippett.
Yes.
Brashears.
Yes.
Sams.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Kelly.
No.
So the vote was 4-3, so it passes as presented.
Can we comment after the vote? Is that fine?
Sure.
I just want to clarify. The reason I voted no was because I think there was opportunity to include language in the conditions related to ensuring that vehicles and equipment were parked on paved surfaces, but that's the only reason I voted no. So I just want that to be part of the record that while I'm in favor of the project and the purchase of the building and the use that it is, I just wanted to clarify that I would have preferred to see that in the language. That's why I voted no.
Correct, I would agree.
Yeah, I would assume all three no's were for that reason.
Yeah.
Correct, and I agree with that, and that's why I asked him the question, and he said if the need arises, I would assume that the gentleman has enough respect for his own equipment and stuff not to start stacking them in the mud back there in the spring and stuff, and would take care of that on his own. But so that's the reason I approved it as read.
Yeah, fair enough. And the reason I voted no was in reference to what Gina said is we've missed opportunities in the past, I believe, to apply conditions to special use permits where then the petitioners did not, I don't want to use the word comply, but did not exercise that same amount of courtesy and respect for their own equipment or property, and thus we missed the opportunity for the improvement to the site. But totally understand.
So I believe that the rule is that you can only park on paved surfaces, and that rule does not go away with this particular ruling.
Great point.
So I mean, the correct me if I'm wrong, but the ruling is still that
it's still the code. Correct.
It's still the code.
Yeah, the requirements for hard surfacing, it is a little more challenging without having a specific condition. because it becomes, are we going out to the site? This is back behind the main building. Not really, we're not going to go actively monitor it, that if it doesn't have a condition.
Yeah. My concern is that somebody has to, quote, police the issue, just like I had to keep in my mind, we let a petitioner go so many months because he had a tenant renewing a lease, and if that tenant renewed the lease, they were going to do additional paving or something, and then, it fell through. So I guess I was just trying to save the city from having to watch a property, but.
I completely understand. I get the no's and I understand the yeses as well. But like I said, it still is that you're only supposed to park on hard surfaces.
Correct.
So for the petitioner, this is a recommendation that goes to City Council next Tuesday. It'll be in this room. And it goes for 2 readings. So you're certainly welcome to attend that meeting. It's usually a good idea to appear for at least the first one.
When is the meeting?
Next Tuesday at 6 o'clock in this room.
Yes, we have. Okay, we will move on then to deliberations for case SU-2024-0015. That's the petition at 290 South Main by Robert Robbins. After conducting a public hearing and considering the facts, the Zoning Board of Appeals makes the following finding on fact and recommendations. Will the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the proposed special use permit be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
No.
Will the proposed special use permit be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses permitted in the district?
No.
No.
Will the proposed special use permit diminish or impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood?
No.
No.
Will the establishment of the proposed special use permit impede the orderly development or improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the subject zoning district?
No.
No.
Or have adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, or other necessary facilities to be or been provided?
Yes.
Yes.
Or have adequate measures to be or been taken to provide ingress and egress from the site, minimizing traffic congestion and hazards on public streets?
Yes.
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 Will the proposed special use permit conform to all other applicable regulations of the zoning district?
Yes.
Yes.
Any discussion, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that it goes as is with the stipulation, though, of 6 cars on the front edge there.
What about any striping? Any striping?
Yeah, I would second that if there's additional language to the condition related to striping for the maximum number of 6 vehicles, in addition to striping for customer and employee parking.
George, you want to restate your motion? Or clarify your
So
motion?
may I say something?
Go ahead.
My only question for you guys is, if there's striping, is that going to turn into people think it's parking and they can park there? I mean, it's not in a area where people would just park to park, but I am wondering about that. I'll just throw that out there.
Well, there should be cars there for sale, correct? To keep people from doing that?
Yeah.
I was going to say, to me, I guess I don't necessarily care what ends up parking in those places as long as it's not a dilapidated vehicle.
Sure.
So to me, maximum 6 parking spots painted, and that would allow adequate, display of the vehicles. Now, if he wants additional employee parking or customer parking, I guess that's up to the petitioner.
I think I'm kind of going backwards on this. I feel like the employee and customer parking and even ADA parking would need to be striped, and the cars for sale parking could be a lot looser.
I agree.
How are we differentiating between the vehicles that are for sale and the vehicles that are, customer and employee parking?
Well, I think
The
Mr.
places where they're
Robbins
parked?
indicated that some of the parking would be behind the gate for some of the employees. And I think, until he's in business, but if a customer pulls up and the customer's driving a wheelchair accessible van, they need to know where to park, and they need to have adequate room to do so.
So is there any reason that we wouldn't apply a condition to both of those scenarios for painting? So the reason I mentioned this painting scenario is because we had a property that was located up on Washington Road that had an excessive amount of vehicles that ended up getting parked on that property after we approved the special use permit, which is what I'm trying to drive some consistency across it so that we don't run into that same problem again. Now, this petitioner seems like he's very willing to accommodate our conditions, but if we don't feel that that's something that's necessary, then that's totally fine.
Well, I think we should only be dealing with, if you want striping, it would be striping for the cars for sale. I think, in my opinion, employees' handicap parking should already be taken care of in something else, because we're just dealing with the special use of cars being stored on here for sale.
Okay.
I believe. Okay. So that hopefully I cleared the waters a little bit, not muddied them up. But so if you're interested in striping for the cars, I think we would just be looking at for the for sale cars.
That's fair.
Fair enough. And is that really necessary then? John brings up a good point. I mean, a big dealership doesn't have their entire lot striped, and they've got cars parked parallel and perpendicular to access roads. I mean, they're all over the place.
And it changes all the time.
Right.
But those properties are typically within a zoned district that allows for that type of thing.
True.
This is a special use permit, which means that this is only permitted by special use in that zoning district.
I'm not sure where we are on motion versus.
We made the motion.
I mean, I'm not going to interrupt.
Up to 6 cars was the limit, and then is there striping for anything? Is it?
Right now, I've got this condition of no more than 6 vehicles and blank. If it's gonna be-
So is there a condition for striping at all?
I would say no. Let's
Okay.
leave the front open there. I had a question for you, Mr. Robbins. So when you're there, is that gate for that lot going to be open, or is that going to stay closed?
It can be open.
I mean, because if we wanted a handicap space, he could put it inside that gate.
Right.
Because I think there's striping there already, isn't there?
There is, yeah, they're worn down.
It's
Right.
faint, but we
you
could
could
see
make
it,
one
yeah.
of them a
If I can get a
handicap,
plan,
and then,
I can give it to Purdue. and he
yeah,
can-
the outside, I'm okay with it not being striped.
And that's,
I would think that since it's already a business, the parking for customers and ADA compliant and stuff is already in the code, I would assume, correct?
right, we're not the ones to
Exactly.
enforce code that doesn't have anything to do with the special use. So,
Exactly.
No, I mean, it is already in the code, but many times with these cases, the site plan will call out, here's where employee parking is going to occur, here's where customer parking is going to occur. Usually there is some sort of striping plan that's provided as a part of that site plan.
okay.
But the requirement is still there regardless.
You want to finish your motion?
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we limit 6 cars max on the outside, and when it's in operation, the gate has to be open, and if he would put one handicap spot on the inside where it's already striped and make it more visible.
Maybe a little sign on the fence.
Yes, that would be great,
Yeah, I mean, it should be there already, so.
Right.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Do I have a second to George's motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Don. Roll call vote.
Driscoll,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes,
Tippett,
Yes.
Rushiers, Sams,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Kelly.
No. And then I'll just, for the record, I voted no because of the striping in relation to other properties that we've had that we had issues with the display of public parking. And that is not a reflection of the petitioner. That's just a reflection of history of previous cases.
And I think the case that you're referring to, or the one that causes the most heartache, is we put a limit on the number of cars that could be stored on the lot, and it has never been at that number or below that number since we approved the petition.
Yeah, and I mean, the sake of transparency, ironically enough, it's the property that's right next to the the oil change and the car wash that we're approving, or we're considering tonight. But
Oh, I was
yeah.
thinking of the one, okay, I'm thinking of
Oh,
the
really?
one. Yeah, I'm thinking of the one up in, Sunnyland.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
it. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
right next to the oil
Yeah,
changing
right
place.
next to another.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay, so we will move on then with case SU-2024-0016, and that address is 2358 Washington Road, and the petitioner, Peter Colvin of Colvin Team Real Estate. After conducting a public hearing and considering the facts, the Zoning Board of Appeals makes the following finding of fact and recommendations. Will the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the proposed special use permit be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
No.
No.
Will the proposed special use permit be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses permitted in the district?
No.
No.
Nope. Will the proposed special use permit diminish or impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood?
No.
No.
Will the establishment of the proposed special use permit impede the orderly development or improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the subject zoning district?
No.
No.
Or have adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, or other necessary facilities to be or been provided?
Yes.
Or have adequate measures to be or been taken to provide ingress and egress from the site, minimizing traffic congestion and hazards on public streets?
Yes.
Will the proposed special use permit conform to all other applicable regulations of the zoning district?
Yes.
Okay, any discussion, or do I have a motion?
So before, just a quick discussion before a motion, I would like to include it in any motion, or you don't have to. But if I was going to make a motion, I would include records to the city related to inspection of the oil, of the existing oil separator prior to operation being allowed.
I
That's your
agree.
motion?
I just can't make.
I'm not, no, I haven't made a motion yet. I'm just saying I intend to make a motion that is that, but if there's other things that others would like considered in a motion, I was just going to try to get all that leveled out there in case I'm missing anything else. I agree with the site plan.
I would just be careful with the wording because I think that is going to be taken care of in the building department or the building permit phase of it. I wouldn't want them to have to do something extra if there's already plenty that is already there. That's all. And I don't know exactly how to word it, but yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. That needs to be a part of it, and it certainly should be.
I'll just make the motion that we approve with the stipulation that the the Public Works Department has a chance to do the inspections that are required before they open for business.
Perfect.
That's my motion.
I'll second.
Perfect.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Tim. Roll call vote.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Tippett.
Yes.
Rushiers. Sams.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes, and it will be presented to City Council a week from tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in the City Council chambers, which is this same room. I assume you will work with Ty and Brad on attending the meeting via the Zoom if you so choose to do so. I guess our suggestion is that you are available for...
There's no option for Zoom on that one.
Oh, sorry, there's no option for Zoom. My bad. So the City Council meeting is a week from tomorrow night, and somebody representing the petitioner needs to be here in person to answer questions.
Can we bring champagne?
Do they?
Sure.
What did he say?
The
Might have to
toast
wait for afterwards, though.
hopefully. Yeah. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it.
Do they have to be here?
Thank
for
you.
the-
Ty said they did, yeah.
Well, so the only option there is for in-person.
But do they have? They don't have to be in
No.
person, do they?
do
It's a
not.
good idea
It's a
because
good idea to
we've
do
Oh,
that.
had.
they don't
no,
have
it's-
to be
it's
here,
not
but
a-
they have to be here in
Correct.
person if they're going to show up. Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Sorry.
No, I agree with
There's
you.
not a Zoom option to participate in that.
And there have.
Okay.
What was the specific language of that condition? I don't
Of this condition?
Yeah.
Troy.
What was your language of the condition?
Specifically, I want to make sure I capture it properly.
That the Public Works be able to get in and inspect everything that they need to before they begin operation.
So basically, do it right. Perfect.
Okay, we will go ahead and move on with case A-2024, 4-7-008, and that's the petition of the City of East Peoria to amend City Code Section 4-7-7G as it pertains to permitted special off-premises signs. And who might my petitioner be?
That would be me.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead, Ty.
So in the case here, we have a off-premise, or it's an off-premise sign, but it's in the right-of-way. And our past practice has been to specifically enumerate these, and you can think of a more recent one we've had here with Eastport Marina, a wayfinding sign. We've also had ones for Bass Pro, other signage that just really doesn't fit kind of in your typical mold. The code calls out these locations. In the case here, our multifamily developer adjacent to City Hall here is going to be installing an access point off of West Washington. So this is roughly opposite Panera. It's going to be a right-in, right-out access into the development. Actually, it's going to take you all the way to the city and library parking lot, but also would provide access to their parking deck. So in the case here, it's going to be largely wayfinding, but it is going to identify the development, Blue Town. So as has been past practice, the idea here is to specifically identify it as an accepted sign.
Questions for Ty? Tim?
No questions.
Michael?
No questions.
Troy?
No questions?
John?
No questions.
Don?
No questions.
George?
No questions.
And will it have, so it'll be a digital sign?
No, not likely. No, it'd be just a backlit.
And does I assume that sign has to get approved as well?
Correct. We'd still go through the review process for approval, but it would go through our design review committee because it's here in the levy district. But it's similar process we've used for other signs similar to this.
So eventually they will come back with size, design, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and that'll be something we handle administratively.
Okay.
Okay. Deliberations for case A-2024-008. I don't have a sheet for that, so this tells me that the ZBA's decision on this is final?
No, this will still go to city council.
It will still go to
Yes.
city council. Okay. It's only been 5 years and I can't figure it out.
I know.
So this is a little laggy tonight, but just for reference, so the idea is you're having an entrance that comes right off of, this is Washington, and it's going to lead right into the parking lot. The deck sits roughly in here, which, by the way, the deck is getting covered up, and you won't be able to see it, but from the parking lot once they're done with all of the wraparound. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Was
you
that
said-
was that planned? Was that initially planned?
Yes.
Too? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said right in, right out only?
Correct.
Okay.
So you can only turn right in, you can only
Most
turn
people
right out.
hate them.
Although that doesn't mean everybody's going to follow it, but that will be the.
I was going to ask,
So
is
that
it,
one right there, left
Cole?
and left out.
Just like
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
is it going to have the median?
Left.
Oh, that one's been changed, actually. That one's
No
been
median?
changed to allow for a left.
Oh, you could.
Yeah.
Oh, so I haven't been.
Breaking the
Makes
law.
it legal?
Initially, it was not.
Okay, so,
Just like the one
Oh,
straight
so-
across from us.
any more
You can only
discussion,
go
or do I
right
have
in,
a
right out.
motion on that one?
I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim and Don. Roll call vote?
Driscoll,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Tippett,
Yes.
Rushiers, Sams,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
All in favor?
All in favor? It goes to city council then, a week from tomorrow night.
Correct.
And old business. New business. On the agenda, but not on your sheets in front of you, would be our very own Brad Brewer talking about accesseastpeoria.com. Brad?
Yes, so this here is just a new piece of our permitting software that we've rolled out in the past couple months. With it, you can go online, you can sign up for an account, and through it, you can apply for permits, you can apply for your ZBA cases through it. People who have licenses with the city, they can apply. Contractors can go through the contractor registration on our portal. It's a nice piece of software because once you've applied for your permit, you can track the status of it. So once we're making changes or as we're reviewing your case or moving it on, you can pay for your permits through this portal. You can request your inspections. it's just kind of meant to be an easier piece so you can kind of see where you're at in the process and you're not getting frustrated wondering, where's my permit? You can actually go on and see exactly where we're at in that process. Also, through the portal, you can go through and submit your code requests. So if you've got a neighbor that has tall grass or an operable vehicle, that is the new place where you would go to.
Oh, in here?
Yeah, go through. You go to accesseastpeoria.com.
Yeah.
And there's a link on one of the cards, and then there's also a link in the black banner that has a bunch of different options that you can click through.
So okay, that's the one thing I was wondering. I assumed that wasn't in here, but that's where abandoned cars and and potholes or whatever the case may be, that kind of
potholes and anything that is a service request has not gone live yet. We're still working.
Okay.
It will be eventually.
Because there used to be something like that, right? You could do on your phone and you could track it, and I don't know if it's still there or not. I have no idea, but all right, cool.
So is there going to be a public rollout of this, or people going to wind up getting
It's
this in their
live.
mailbox?
You can go there right now. Ty's got it displayed on the screen as we speak.
I understand, but as far as letting the public know, is everybody going to get a flyer like this? Is there a mailing going out? Is there?
I think there's been some posts on social media maybe about it, or.
We started out initially as kind of a soft rollout. The goal wasn't let's bombard.
Don't crash it.
And it's been out there for 3 months. Very positive feedback. Brad has a survey that he's still looking for responses on. Usually, no news is good news, but it's something that we're going to continue to promote. We started out with, I would say, kind of our heavier users. You've got contractors that are pretty regular. Applying for permits, and we wanted to make sure that they were comfortable with it. We had any bugs worked out. It's really rolled out pretty nicely. We're going to continue to look for opportunities though to push it out, but we wanted to start out at least the first 3 or 4 months with a kind of a soft rollout.
Understood.
So far so good, but definitely we need to get the word out more.
Thank you.
So I see pay invoices. Is that going to replace our current online bill pay for water?
That's a great one.
At some point, yes.
Oh, okay.
These are being rolled out in phases. So the first one was accounts payable internally. That's something that most people see outside the organization. Permitting was next. We've got a couple of different pieces. The physical asset one that you're asking about, potholes and that sort of thing, will come with Public Works, and that's sometime next year, as is water billing. The next piece they're working on is human resources. And that one is supposed to roll out here hopefully by the end of the year.
So I just assumed this was just your department, but this is going to be the whole
This
city.
is a comprehensive shift. We went from a COBOL-based system to one now that's a little more with the times. And it's the convenience factor is really, what we're hearing a lot of good feedback about is that, the contractors don't have to come in to City Hall. If they're out on a job site, it's not convenient. They can provide this information and provide updates to their permits or apply nights and weekends. It's not limited to just 8 to 5 City Hall hours. So the convenience factor has really been a big one we've heard positive raves about.
Back to the one-stop shop.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
actually,
this one you can apply for one stop.
Yeah, there you go.
not to mention it's also better for us on the back end, the new software. It allows for us to track a lot of things. We are doing reviews online now, so really the only thing that stops us from being able to do our job here is if we literally don't have internet. And then if we don't have internet, we probably have bigger problems. Yeah. So it also allows for better communication between us and our citizens, our contractors, etc. So also I can push banners that go along the top that, well, you can't see them here, but any kinds of interesting, exciting things you can put on it. It's highly
Alerts,
customizable.
Current events, that kind of thing. Sure.
Exactly. So
very nice.
I think it's really nice. Spent about a year working on it, so.
Thank you.
Put it in your bookmark.
Okay. Next on the agenda would be the citizens' opportunity to address the ZBA on any non-agenda items. Would there be anyone wanting to do so? Seeing no one, then I will say this meeting has been adjourned. We are done for the month.
Don't we have to to adjourn it?
You got me by 5 minutes.
You know what? We were getting there, weren't we?
I think
I
Brad
didn't-
was talking long.